All right, Jonathan, you ready to light this rocket ship?
Let's light the rocket ship. Yeah, man.
All right, a little bit of a different setup today.
Tom's going to an appointment. I hope it's a good appointment. It's only me and good old D-Man over there, who you can right now hear.
And possibly see.
Maybe see. And maybe see.
There we go.
Sean has abandoned us. We've lost him forever to Nashville.
Once again.
Once again, Derek says. So it's Sean's birthday.
Yes.
This is his birthday.
So any special super chats will go to Sean's birthday present.
I was gonna say at least birthday
related festivities.
Birthday things, like, we might be making lewd photos to send to him. Who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? But it's me, it's the D-Man. Baxter's off teaching the children. So yeah. Ned says Sean is 21 today. Just barely. So, anyways.
Yeah. He's 26? 27?
26 years old.
26. His life is over.
That's the
best years are behind him.
That first quarter is all you get. It's good.
Yeah.
What's the John Mayer song? Might be a quarter life crisis.
Quarter life crisis.
Quarter life crisis. So there you go. B Lamb says let's send him money.
Yeah, money for a haircut,
which I think is kind of funny.
Supercuts, best clips. We only need like $12 plus tip.
I feel like I should just cut it. Maybe we should do that. I should cut Sean's hair on a live stream one day.
Yeah,
think about it. Think how much fun would that be? I'd have creative freedom. But yeah, no, Sean's 26. He's been in Nashville doing a couple gigs with Moon Transmissions, which is our friend Chelsea's band. So check them out. Sean's playing the bass. All sorts of milestones in Sean's life. He's engaged. What's happening? Our little boy's growing up, Derek.
That he is.
He's growing up. Someone said just cut both, and you probably are referring to my own hair. But unfortunately, I have a medical condition that prevents me from cutting any hair. Sorry. Give him a bushy mohawk. I feel like Sean kind of has a bushy mohawk. It just all falls down. But anyways.
All right, Jonathan, I got a question for you.
There we go. Man on the water.
Oh, shit.
Best laugh on YouTube.
Love it. All right. So, Jonathan, question. Do you know, have you ever heard of this guy? Larry Saltzman.
No.
So I just saw an article saying that he is the one responsible for teaching Timothy Chalamet. How do you know?
Yeah, I think that's right. Chalamet.
How to Play Like Bob Dylan.
In the new is that thing out?
It's been out for a while.
It's been out.
Did you? So obviously haven't seen it.
Obviously, but I've heard people say. I did actually hear someone say the other night. They might have been telling Baxter in the shop that they enjoyed it, and even if the story wasn't correct, that it was just nostalgic and the music was very good in it. So I do remember actually hearing that.
Yeah, there's been a handful of good documentaries. The Led Zeppelin one. Have you seen that yet?
I haven't seen that one.
Hey, if you've seen the Led Zeppelin documentary, type it in the comment section if you've seen it, or if you saw the Bob Dylan documentary or movie.
I know that the theater here at the Sunrise showed the Led Zeppelin one on Valentine's Day and made it a thing. People dressed up like 70s.
Whose wife wants to go see the Led Zeppelin documentary?
Bro, listen, I was playing at a little bar down the street, and so when they all got out, they all came to O'Donnell's. We were at O'Donnell's. And it wasn't my normal band. It was like me and God, who was it? Oh yeah, it was me and Ruben and Eric on drums. And they kept wanting to hear Led Zeppelin. So we finally did rock and roll, and they lost their minds. So there was at least a few wives who were pretty boned up about it.
Huh. All right.
Todd Roy says the Johnny Winters documentary from a few years back is awesome. Johnny Winters, pretty amazing player that I feel like a lot of people are not as aware of as far as his actual music. But Johnny Winters actually rips. Yes, William Robinson, I am a lot like Samson. That's true. I started growing my hair out when I first got in what I felt like was a real band. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have rock and roll.
You've got the rock and roll look down.
And that was
certainly pull it off
20 years ago. And I've done it since then. So now it's just.
Ooh, yeah. Seeing it in IMAX.
Yo,
that might be the way to do it.
Dude, I bet that was amazing. Did it sound amazing? Of course it sounded amazing.
All right. Another
one
that I watched this weekend, Standing on the Shoulders of Kittens.
Also
Kitties.
A music movie.
I would have to say one of the better musicals. It's not, Walk Hard level.
No.
But
pretty good.
It's pretty funny.
Well, those are you either enjoy that humor or not.
If you like Trailer Park Boys, but you can tell Bubbles he's clearly a musician in real life and loves music.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of at one point he's being interviewed throughout, kind of like in Spinal Tap, how they've got Rob Reiner.
So it's like a mockumentary kind of thing, sort of.
Yeah, basically.
Like
so he's being interviewed.
Okay. All right.
And he starts his band, and he's got a little shed that he records people out of, right? So there's one point where he's playing guitar and he's singing, and he's got the Shure kick drum mic mic'd on his acoustic guitar. Just funny things like that you know that he's got to be a musician to go, all right, let's just do something real stupid and have the completely wrong microphone on the. But almost every song is about kittens or cats.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton's in it. So basically the idea
Ronnie
for the movie
Wood?
is Ron Wood. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like $4.99 on Amazon Prime. Go rent it.
I'm gonna try to watch it this weekend.
You should.
It looked hilarious when you showed us the little trip.
It's really funny.
And I love Ron Wood. Another ridiculously underrated player in my opinion. Maybe he's not underrated, but I don't know. I feel like you don't hear as much about him, and that dude's awesome.
So premise of the movie: Bubbles decides he starts a band.
Yep.
And they get their first gig is at the American Legion. So has to audition people for his band. So you get to see the whole audition process. It's funny.
I like the little clip where he slaps the dude's belly and he's a roadie.
Randy Roadie.
Randy the Roadie. But that's not that unlike real life. Like we were talking about music business stuff this morning because of some things going on in the background of our lives. But I mean, how many all the hipster bands in Nashville were playing that kind of music at the American Legion. It was like a thing.
Yeah.
It became a thing and then it becomes a scene. But it sounds like the music in that is really good. Like
no, actually you can go listen to the soundtrack. It's pretty funny.
So, I mean, the songs are about kittens.
Yeah.
But if you can get past that, or maybe you yourself love kittens.
So, Jonathan, if you see old Jack Stowe pop up in the comments, Jack, if you
Jack, we need you
jumping in.
I will say we tried to put, you can see over my left shoulder to your right on the screen, I guess. I don't know. It's all backwards. But you see old Billy Gibbons back there. We tried to put him at the table in Sean's place. It didn't work.
Too much glare.
It was too much glare. He's too much of a star Too much of a star. Where's the other guy with the stupid hair? Nintendo. We already explained
You're
it.
going to have to be more precise.
I was going to say.
The
I
one
mean,
from last week or the one from the previous week?
There's multiple ones. There's multiple ones. William Robinson says, I am a white trash guy with long, stringy, greasy hair playing in a Herman's Hermits tribute band. That's kind of amazing. He's waiting for the bus. He just got paid today.
He did just get paid.
That's true. He's a sharp-dressed man. I mean, okay, that gets old really quick. Sorry. Derek, is there any crazy news?
I'm looking at the news here just to sort of see what's been going on.
Did you guys see the Mary when she says Red has hair that looks like Bert from the Muppets a little bit? That's the thing now. Everyone has that hair, oddly. I refuse to cave. I'm going to keep my long hair, my old man gray beard. What was the video where all the pros, I think it's Robert Baker, look at the fake Les Paul?
Yeah, let me pull that up.
I started watching that one. I think that's pretty interesting, Not too bad.
Let's see. I think this is the article. Is this the article, Jonathan?
Yep. And it's actually, there's a YouTube video of it, but that was what it was. And they cut it in half and do all kind of crazy stuff.
This one right here.
Which is kind of fun. Hey, Chad B. Yep, that's it. They got Joe Bonamassa. We need Sean here to make fun of Joe Bonamassa and Eric Clapton and all the people. But yeah, it's I think if you care about being able to spot the fakes.
Said Trogley is the only one missing. I love it.
They didn't say the pro, just random pros.
Yeah, so go check that out. Apparently that's a pretty good video.
Okay, Brian Carpenter has a good question. He says, for those of us on the slender side, an ES335 just doesn't look right. Is the best alternative an ES339 or something totally different? Well, I have an opinion on this.
I'll share my opinion as well. You go first, Jonathan.
First off, I think I think he looks awesome on slender people. Because, think about Heroin taking Clapton and Cream. He's all thin and got the weird haircut, and he looks awesome. So, but if you don't like the 335, if it feels too big for you, I understand. I don't think the 339s, and some people are going to hate this. This is just my honest opinion. I've never played, and part of it is probably because I am larger and I like the bigger guitars. I love the 335. In fact, I grabbed my old Telly this morning, the one that started it all for me from the custom shop. But I like 335s. I like big Gretches because I'm large, I suppose. But I've just never felt like the 339s have the same vibe as the 335s. For some reason, to me, they just don't have the same thing. Maybe it's psychological. So I don't dig them. I really, I don't know. I just don't.
I will tell you. You ready for mine?
I'm ready.
All right. The Gibson Midtown.
I was going to say that might be.
So I own one of these guitars.
And it's smaller, right?
It's smaller. It's about that same size as
not carved top either.
Not a carved top. So it's more Les Paul sort of feeling, and they're pretty affordable. You can pick one up from $1,000 for the Midtown Standard, which is what I have, and then they've got some Midtown Customs.
Some of them have Bigsby's.
Yep, a bit fancier. They got them in, 3 or 4 different colors. The customs are really nice.
When I was at Gibson for my brief stint there, even though they made Memphis was still open then, so they were making all the semi-hollows and hollow body stuff in Memphis. Acoustics were in Bozeman. Normal solid body stuff was in Nashville, but we made the Midtowns because they were the flat top. And I think they made those to run in Nashville just because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got to put my hands on a lot of them, and I always thought they were impressed. And
I'll tell you, the first time I saw one, I was at Rainbow Guitars in Arizona, up in Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy walked in and he pulled one out. And it was black. It was a custom one. And I was like, what the heck is that? This would have been 2011, 2012.
Yep.
And I was like, that has to be a custom shop, super expensive. And now you can get those really for a steal.
The Midtown,
highly recommend.
Baby. I forget that you have one.
Yeah.
But no, they're really good guitars. They were giving a ton of those out to artists in Nashville.
Do you know what years those were built?
I don't know when they started, but that was around the time when you're talking about 2011, 2012, 2013 was, you know, I can't even remember which one of those years. I think it was 12, maybe 11 that I was there. But so it was right in that time frame.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long they made them either. We should look that up. Jenner says, I'm built like a Hoss and I need a Hoss guitar. That's how I feel. That's how I even played an offset for a little while because of the big body, and I thought it was cool. So I knew what I was doing. Brian Setzer ain't exactly a big dude. Maynard Cheese has a point, and I feel like you always see these tiny girls playing giant, like, jumbo.
Yeah.
You know, like Sheryl Crow, you see her, and she's playing the giant, like jumbo Gibsons and stuff. Yeah, just play what you like. And you'll figure it out. You always see, like, little short guys playing Falcons.
All right.
It just works.
Topic of discussion. What is on Jonathan's guitar wish list for 2025?
Whew. Okay.
What are you lusting over? Tell everybody what you have currently in your guitar roster.
Just guitars?
And what, we'll start with guitars.
Okay, start with guitars. I've got this wonderful custom shop Telly, which is just a 52 reissue from 2010 or something like that. I've got a custom shop Strat that's a 62. It's pretty awesome. It's the first guitar I ever bought working here. It's got Josefina Fat 60s pickups, so it's pretty cool. I've got an ES335 that was a special run from Memphis in 2013. Love that guitar. I've got a Falcon, which is the Midnight Sapphire one that came out like 2 or 3 years ago. It's a player's edition. I've got like a 78 Deluxe Telly. That is pretty awesome. Sounds great. I don't play it as much live, but I love it at home recording things. But I'm getting the vibe of it. I may start playing it even more live. What else am I missing, Derek? And then acoustically, I've got a Triple Lot 28 and I've got an older Taylor 324E, no cutaway. That I've thought about selling, but I may just put different pickups in. That's it on the guitar end for Jonathan. But I have got a horrible lust for a Les Paul, which could include like an early SG. I mean, not a real one, it'd be a reissue. but the only thing about the SGs, right? The only ones I've played that I've just been in love with are like the custom shop Murphy Labs. You know what I mean? We've actually got a Les Paul here now.
I was gonna say, are you lusting after that one? Have you played that?
There's a little part of me that's like, oh, get rid of the Falcon and get that, because I love the Falcon, but it's more just it just makes me happy. It's not.
Dude,
as useful.
I was playing that Les Paul. Was that an R9?
Yeah, that's an R9.
I was playing that through that Marshall,
and it sounds stupid.
That Marshall amp that we just got.
Yeah,
that was a JCM.
We got like an 80s JCM 800 combo with
which is
reverb. Killer with reverb. It's actually awesome, and it looks amazing. Like the grill cloth's got the right color.
$1,600. It's that thing.
It's heavy now, but if you want the sound and you
that
want
could end up at the Rooster if nobody buys that. If
I didn't have
come
the
to the
M80,
shop, play that amp.
That's a killer amp, man. The Les Paul's killer. I don't even want to talk about Les Paul. I took that. We got that Les Paul, and then a guy who's a good friend of the shop bought it. And I was a little bummed because when we got it, I was going to try to figure out maybe there's a way to wheel and deal, And then he took it home, and then he decided he was not a Les Paul guy. Brought it back, traded it for a Strat. I actually took it home for a weekend. I just don't. There's just no. It's not in the cards right now for J-Rob. But if it was that.
Whose Les Paul is that?
I don't know who we got it from initially. We got it one weekend when I wasn't here. So neither one of you would have been here. But then, our pal Chuck took it home for a bit.
Tom played it. He knows.
Maybe I just need to borrow it for a little extended period of time, Derek. See, here was my pitch, guys. You tell me what you think. I thought that we start doing our line of gig relic guitars. Johnny takes it and plays it for a year. We see what the wear looks like. And then, hey, we try to do his relic. It's relic in real life.
We'll call it Prima Nocta.
Prima Nocta.
Johnny spends the night with your guitar. Gives it some
maybe
love.
Maybe more than a night. Maybe several months. Maybe,
breaks it in.
Breaks it in, man.
Prima Nocta. I mean, I love the idea.
Now listen, here's another thing on my wish list that was unexpected. Well, there's two other things on my wish list that are pretty hot and heavy right now. One is I want a resonator of some kind. Like I'd love to have a mule, but man, they're so expensive for a guitar that I wouldn't play like as a primary guitar, you know. Even though that new one they got out.
What happened to that Washburn that we had here?
Either James took it or we sold it. I don't know. But something like that. I've been looking at Recording Kings.
Or it's at Sean's house.
It could be at Sean's house. I'd be fine with that. I'd love to have a mule. Some of the mules I played at NAMM were like stupid good. It didn't hurt that I was sitting there playing with Dylan Adams either, who was like amazing. But yeah, Phil Button says he's got a Mule Mavis. I'd take a Mule Mavis, but I do kind of want something that is pretty loud acoustic. Anyways, so that is a pretty burning desire in my little heart right now. The other thing, this was an accident. So we went to Woodwire and Volts when we went to NAMM, you know, which was the show that Carlos Casadosa put on with
Curtis Novak.
And there's a company there called Bilt Guitars, B-I-L-T, and they're pretty famous. Like they've been around a long time, and they're pretty hot in certain circles, you know. So if you haven't looked at them, go check them out. B-I-L-T. They got a bunch of different models, and they'll pretty much the whole thing is a custom shop. Like they'll kind of do anything you want, man. And we're actually talking about maybe having a few built and doing some custom orders. So kind of in the middle of figuring that out. But they have a model called the El Hombre. Did you see that one, Derek? The one that I played, dude, it looked basically like a walnut SG, but it's shaped like a weird mix between like an Offset and a Firebird.
Interesting.
And God, it was awesome. And this one just had humbuckers. I think it had Curtis Novak. No, I think he said it had Fralin humbuckers in this one. But they'll put whatever you want in it. And it had the old school like vibrola, like Gibson kind of tailpiece, but my God, it was good. So I've configured those on their website because you can configure them on their website like how you want it and spit out the price. Check those out, El Hombre, and just Built Guitars in general. They got lots of Offset kind of stuff. So, but man, I was really impressed with how that sounded and how it played and the feel of it. So check them out. Yeah, Todd Roy says so many. Zoot says JHS has a Built. Yeah, he's had a Built for a long time. They've been around for quite a while. But you know how boutique companies are. They kind of get hot and they fade a little bit. And then hopefully they find their place, you know, their little spot they live in. But yeah, Bilt's got the Starcaster headstock, which is pretty sweet. In fact, those new Japanese Fenders have the headstock pretty much that Bilt's all kind of have. They're very similar. And they were delightfully cool guys. So that's on my wish list, Derek. What's on? I feel like I know what's on your wish list. But
Man,
you tell us. Are you going to pull it up?
I'm going to pull it up. I'm trying to get into my Facebook here so I can.
While you do that, William says somebody recently tried to sell me an orange bass guitar. I never heard of orange guitars, just amps. What do you think? I don't know if I've heard of those either. What are those ones that were like this sort of like nice solid wood, but kind of on the budget side, acoustics? Those aren't probably not the same company. Yeah, I don't know about those, man. I don't know anything about it. Jonathan, have you seen the Fender Uptown Strats? I'm jonesing for one along with Les Paul. That would be very cool. Boutique guys seem to want to stay small, which is great short term, but leaves questions for long term customer service. I think it just depends, Mayor, on how they stay small, right? Like if they stay small with enough guys to handle everything, and they're only making a set number of guitars, and they can still handle the custom, because like Built has a good team. They've got one guy who does all that and one guy who's the primary like craftsman. And so I think they're pretty good. You can tell those guys are on top of it, but you hear it over and over again, like little boutique companies that get hot and then they get, you know, they can't handle the orders, they can't handle the service stuff. And then it just kind of falls apart. And it is always sad to see. So that is a good question, right? Because I think a lot of buyers too want to see it stay small and exclusive, but you know, the path forward a lot of times for those things is to grow. And then the question is just, how do you keep the guitars the same and keep the same or better quality? Novo seems to have done that pretty well. Like they seem to have expanded and become pretty big. I mean, honestly, PRS is a good, you know, like they're one of the big three now, but they started with Paul building this stuff in his basement. So like them or not, love them or not. You know, Ned says, have I ever played Frank Brothers? Frank Brothers are actually a Woodwire and Volts as well. And I didn't get to play hardly any of their guitars there. Their guitars but we've had a few through the shop, and they are built amazingly, like craftsmanship out of this world. At first, I wasn't sure if I liked the aesthetic, the shape of the Frank Brothers guitars, but they have grown on me quite a bit. So I'd love to play more with them. The cool thing on them is they have the little back plate, like right there, like a Les Paul, where you get to the switch and the controls, and it's clear, so you can see all their wiring, which I think is kind of awesome. My wish list, that blue Wrangler flannel from the mart that you have. The old Wranglers. Let's see, is this one got the tag? No, it doesn't. This is a little Wrangler Shacket. I don't know if you can see my tag. You can't for the mic and the Wrangler tag. Anyways, man, Walmart kills it with the Wrangler stuff. I feel like I should be a Wrangler artist. Derek, how do we make me a Wrangler artist? That's probably real money. Like, if you're like a guitar artist, maybe you get a guitar at artist pricing. I feel like if Wrangler endorsed
I feel like we could be Wrangler endorsees.
We should be.
Yeah.
We could ride a horse. I have horses if we need them. They're not mine, but they belong to a close family member.
All right, let's see here.
Fender does collab with Wrangler. We got some of the Gene. In fact, you got the Gene case to go with your Paisley?
I do. Telly? I do have a Gene case.
Derek's got the Wrangler denim Telly case.
All right, let's see here. Let's see if this guitar is still around. I did save it. So it was a Tellybird. It was a white. Let's see if I can find it. I saved something and it just, who knows where it goes. Well, How often do you save things when you see
all
stuff
the time,
you love on
and then
Facebook?
I go to find it and it's like it's not there, and then a bunch of crap that I've saved forever ago that I don't care about is there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works.
Let's see if I can find it.
I feel like I've seen one of these Tellybirds before. I can't wait. But yeah.
So I'm constantly spending time looking for something. There's never a time that I am not on the hunt, whether I have money or not, that I'm on the hunt for either a guitar or a car or something stupid, a damn jukebox or an old cigarette machine.
This is all true.
You name it. The Facebook Marketplace is the worst possible thing for me to have at my fingertips.
I mean, it's probably true for you. Honestly.
It really is. Okay, here we go. I found.
Did you find it?
Yep. I'm gonna share the. Share it. Tell me if you don't think that is kind of sexy.
Oh, that's not what I was thinking about.
So for $1,000, Jonathan,
I'd play the crap out of that.
It's got checking.
It looks great. It looks like it's a thing that should have actually existed, right?
I agree.
That's the key to making something like this. It's got to look like it's not just an abomination. Who makes that thing? It's called a Tellybird.
Tellybird, Unnatural Axe. I don't know. Apparently it's an MJT body. Which, dude, is MJT not making some of the best relic bodies out there?
If you want to just grab a relic body and throw a parts caster together and you don't want to have to do the finishing, yes, 1,000%. And, I was talking to a student yesterday and he was like, he's got an old Strat and he's like, I thought about relicing it, but then I see all the horrible things people do when they try to relic it themselves. And I was like, yeah, most people screw it pretty bad.
If I just wanted to spend $3,000, say $4,000 is my budget.
$4,000.
Right? You had to choose between a Fender custom shop or buy a vintage neck. You could probably get maybe a 60s, late 60s, mid 60s neck.
Which we've got one sitting next to.
We've got one.
In a glass case. Come see it. It's like a dead body on display.
Throw it,
but it's a neck
on an MJT body.
Huh.
Pick up a loaded pick guard. And I think you have, maybe for the same price, something better than maybe a custom shop.
Let's talk about that. Because I have some thought. I have feelings about that as well. So we talked about before, right? Like, let's say that you got your hands on the guts of a vintage guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And you got yourself a vintage neck. right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was all good shape. And then you put those vintage guts in an MJT body and put the vintage neck on. How far are you towards a vintage guitar?
I mean, I think you're halfway there.
Are you halfway? You're more than halfway.
Very rarely do
way.
we go, this body just doesn't feel right when it's in your arms. Very rarely. But you know what you guys do say? Damn, this neck feels good.
Well, see, and there's my one hang up on that would be, and I've not played more, like I've played a fair amount of vintage guitars, but there's lots of people who've played lots more. I'd say it's like 2 out of 3 I play and I don't love. I'm like, oh, the neck's fine. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them, and I don't know if this is they're not taken care of, if it's because the frets are just dead, like they need new frets or it needs fret work. Most of the time, I like to feel the custom shop necks. I'd rather have a vintage body with the old pickups with a custom shop neck.
Because I think there's something special about the vintage neck. I feel like MJT can get you pretty daggone close.
Yeah.
It's really hard, I feel like, to get those necks
that are right
carved the right way. And there's something that 60 years of your hands going up and down a neck and sweat and oil going into a neck that you just can't replicate very easily.
Well, dude, the best neck I've ever felt probably is the Big Ed, the Explorer in the vault at the Gibson garage.
Yeah.
Which is a 59, Explorer or whatever. I mean,
that's a lacquered Gibson neck, right? Did that have? I'm talking a fender neck.
See, I don't know that I've ever. Well,
that's got.
I hate that I missed that one that came in. Were you here? The one that came in a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I was.
Everybody raved.
I didn't get to really play it.
You didn't get to play
Sean was hogging it.
Son of a. We take all the birthday wishes back.
1960 Strat. If anybody was wanting to know what
you're
referencing.
I would just I'd like to play a few that are I'd like to get my hands on the Strats and the Tellys, the old ones that Joe Bonamassa is playing on the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Charlie Starr and what is Esquires. You know what I mean? Like some old things like that people are actually out playing. I don't know. Because I mean, from a playability spot, I'd rather have custom shop or MJT and then just put the vintage electronics pickups in.
I mean, I think sound wise, the vintage electronics are probably the most important piece to that.
I still don't quite understand. I know it's the Magnets Weekend or blah, 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 or whatever, the Gauss or whatever you want to call it. But there is something about the old ones that even when they make them the same way, they don't sound the same. There's a loss of all those abrasive high frequencies.
It's almost like glass that's been tumbled in the ocean for 50 years, that's been worn and has been smoothed. Time has smoothed out all those rough lows and harsh highs on those pickups.
Well, Spark Brain says the magic is in the fingers. A good player can make a Squire sound like a custom shop. A good player can make a Squire sound amazing. But some Squires objectively do not sound as good. Well, and I guess objectively is the wrong word because it's a different sound, right? Maybe you prefer that sound, but I would almost say that you're 1,000% right that a great player like Jack Pearson can make a Squire sound amazing. But you give him an even more amazing guitar that sounds better, and I would say that maybe they make it sound even more amazing. There are. I don't know. There are, but I think there are just better and worse guitars. Now, in most cases, a Squire is 1,000% adequate. But for some players, having a nicer guitar, I think, is inspiring enough that you play differently. But that's a 1 in a million, like a Jack Pearson or a Steve Ray Vaughan or a Philip Sayce. You know what I mean? Most of us are not that, right? We're just not there, and we're not gonna be there, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean it's not fun. And that doesn't mean that what inspires you doesn't inspire you. So Fried Tater says the years, decades of magnet aging. So why can't you put an old magnet in a new pickup? Or is it got to be used like that?
I think it's sort of like,
I think it's like
after how many frequency waves run through a magnet, does it change the characteristics
that I
of a
can wrap my
magnet?
brain around.
How
That
many
makes
cycles
sense.
before the state of the magnet is changed?
And see, McCheese says there's no substitute for sandcast magnets. So he was always telling us about that. There's got to be something to it. Mighty Woodrow says if it gives you the mojo and creativity, it ain't wrong. And that's true whether it's the Squire, an Epiphone, a custom shop, you know what? That's just true, right? So if it inspires you, it's cool. But God bless you if all you need is a Squire to be inspired. I mean, I think if tomorrow you told me all I could play were Squires, there's so many good Squires, I'd still play guitar forever and I'd still be extremely happy doing it. But I do find a lot of joy in these old looking custom shops. But yeah.
All right, so here's what's on my wish list.
I'm ready.
All right, so I've been jonesing for one of the Gretsch Ranchers, either another vintage one to match the one that's over Jonathan to the far side of Jonathan's.
Yep.
With the G brand, one of
Nice.
maybe the Japanese ones from like the early
Badass.
2000s, late 1990s. Been looking at those. Been looking at more Jaguars and Jazzmasters, Lake Placid Blue from 60s, like a 64. There's one in Canada it's like $10,000 and it's all original. Highly recommend checking it out. Take it off my list on Reverb and eBay. I've been looking at gold. So, all right, here's a topic. Jody, grab my gold top off the wall over there.
The gold top.
So yesterday I spent like about 45 minutes talking to a customer and working up a kind of a reference sheet for him. So he had what he thought was a 68 or a 69 Les Paul gold top. And we run into this all the time with any of the Gibsons from 69 to like 72 or even 68 to 72, whether it's Les Paul gold tops, 335s, all that. That's kind of like a weird sort of black hole where serial numbers do not necessarily match up when dating the guitar. So this guy had called in and said he had talked to Harry's, and Harry's referenced us to him and wanted to get some ideas because he was thinking about selling this gold top. And went on Reverb and saw some of the prices. And some of them were $20,000 for a 68 Les Paul gold top. Whether they're just high, I don't know. But I don't know if that's necessarily a legitimate price. But I had to explain to him that the devil's in the details with these late 60s, early 70s Gibsons. So you could have, with the Les Pauls specifically, pancake body versus no pancake body.
Right.
So a no pancake body is like a 68, some 69s. That is a thing that will make that guitar be more valuable.
Yep.
Right. One piece neck makes it more valuable. The ones in the sort of the second part of the 69s into 70s will have a 3-piece neck. Some will have the volute on the back. Right. So any number of those configurations can determine whether that guitar is maybe a late 69 or a 70, and the price can fluctuate by $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 based on what characteristics you have on that guitar.
Right.
So he sent me some photos and I gave him kind of a rundown of what I thought it was. It turned out it was a 2-piece body, 3-piece neck with a volute. So I thought but it didn't have a made in the USA stamp. So that's also like the fourth thing that could determine, but I see it all the time. So I kind of had to give him a bit of here's where I think it would fall into. I think it's more of like a $5,000 or $6,000 guitar. But I've also seen the same problem with 335s from that era.
Right.
So, and then you throw in, well, what color is it got an orange tag, so it's the same issue. But so, it's just very interesting. And if you're trying to date a guitar, specifically those Gibsons,
It's a little tricky.
it's a little tricky. You can overpay very easily for a guitar that may appear to be an old, and you call Gibson and they tell you it's a 68, and it's like, it's definitely not a 68 based off the serial number.
Right.
Even Gibson doesn't know a lot of times what the pricing is.
Well, I mean, they're still sorting out ledgers.
They really are.
I mean, like actively, they're still actively trying to figure out what was done.
But I will say it had a pretty badass top on it.
The one that he was,
it was pretty. It was like a little bit of checking, more checking than I have on mine.
I heard you talking to that guy before I went to teach yesterday.
Yeah.
And I could tell you were into it. Your father says no more new guitars, by the way.
No more new guitars.
This is Derek, no more guitars.
Where's he at in there? Oh, yeah.
Love Dad.
Up, Dad.
The voice of reason. Jenner I wants to know, what's your favorite Fender factory color?
Me?
Yeah.
Lake Placid blue.
Lake Placid blue. Easy.
Aged to a green finish.
Woo! No sunburst.
No sunburst. We don't have any Lake Placid blue vintage guitars in here.
We don't.
Probably because it's one of the more expensive colors.
Yep, that's true.
But yeah, so that's definitely on my wish list. But right now I'm in car mode, so
that's right.
I'm still waiting for Jack Stowe to get in here so he can
vintage cars.
So if you're a vintage car guy or restoration person, hit us up in the comments or send us a message.
What's your new show you've been watching? What's the guy's name? Did you show me on YouTube yesterday? That fixes the cars.
Oh, geez, I don't know. I just found the channel.
It's funny you got into that guy. Me and my son have been watching this one called Roadside Restorations with this guy named Derek, and I can't think of his last name. It's kind of weird last name, but he's hilarious. He's just fun. It's just fun to watch. And I think he was on YouTube, but now it's on Discovery Plus. They'll ask me why we have Discovery Plus. I don't know, but we do, and it's very enjoyable. In fact, we were sad because we watched all the way up to the newest episode, but there's like 3 seasons of it. If you like old cars, he's pretty fun. John says, I've never dated a guitar, but I woke up with a few. Pretty good. Age Fiesta Red or an Age Gold White Strat. There's just something. Every time I think I have my favorite color, that I find a new one. Like I love Dakota Red, but I also love Fiesta Red. I like Lake Placid Blue, but only when it's aged, only when it starts to turn. My Strat, I love the color, but it's metallic teal, and I don't know that I would like that, but it's faded and aged. But from just historically, it's hard, man. Hard to know which one would be the deal. There's just a lot of good ones.
All right, Jonathan, let's pull this up because I wanted to talk about this.
Okay.
Let me pull it up in the tab here. Let's talk about this.
Whew.
Eric Clapton black triple black beauty Les Paul. They're $20,000. You can get them everywhere. Is this going to be a hot seller, or is this thing going to be dead weight at guitar stores near you?
I mean, because sometimes they come out with these things and they're sold before they're barely released good and they're sold, right? And sometimes they hang around. You know how much I love Clapton, but you remember how he had that one Strat that didn't sell?
Yeah.
That was like his, he mostly played slide. It was a hardtail. I wonder if this is going to be like that. But people do love these Gibsons. They like the triple pickup things.
So I have a theory.
Yeah.
So my theory is if Gibson feels like a guitar is going to sell like hotcakes.
Yep.
They reserve that guitar for only the Gibson Garage. Right. If they are not certain of how well it's going to sell,
it's available.
They make it a worldwide release.
And this is a worldwide release.
This is a worldwide release. If you go on to, if I just back out of here, you can see that they are already for sale. Russo's got one. Sweetwater, Guitar Center. You can get them at Gibson.com.
I mean,
it's going to be like the Kirk Hammett flying V.
Right.
Potentially. Well, I don't know.
And it's like Mark said. Mark says, sure, he's known for playing Les Paul like none in the last 3 years. Yeah, if you're a casual Clapton fan, Clapton is a Strat, But, I mean, this guitar is legit part of his history. I just don't know the sense in reissuing it like this on that, like a $20,000 one. How many are they doing, or is not I
can tell you real quick. Hold on. Let's see here. What's the story behind it?
So he owned it. He traded he had a burst, I think, that he traded for it.
150.
150. He used it some, I think he used it maybe recording some in Cream, but he mostly used either the SG, or he was using that 335. So there's some talk about what he actually, when he used it, you know what I mean? I think he might have used it when he was playing for Delaney and Bonnie after that, which most people don't know a ton about that part of Clapton's history. And when he was doing, starting to meet George Harrison, doing a lot of stuff with him. But Todd Roy says he eventually gave it to Albert Lee, who owns it now, for the last 4 years. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So,
well, here's the question. This is a little inside baseball for what shops go through when trying to decide whether or not they're going to get a guitar like this, right?
Yeah, you got to think through it, right? Because you can get saddled with them, and then you've got those guitars for ever.
We have to do this with every release that comes out, and how many, and what. So there's a bit of, wargaming what we want to sit on, because some of these guitars
you got to do the
sit on
right?
for a year, 2 years.
Well, and sometimes, and you think that is an automatic loss, but occasionally these guitars don't sell great. You sit on them, and then years later, it's like, wow, they only made an X amount, and they come back around. So you never know.
How much money do you want to have tied up in a guitar?
Just sitting. That's not a vintage guitar.
Yeah.
Vintage guitar is a little safer bet, right? Because it's probably going to be worth more later.
One of these are 5 regular custom shops.
Right.
What are you going to sell first? 4 or 5 Strat Tellys from Fender, or 1 Eric Clapton?
Generosity says cool vibes doesn't equal fast turnaround. That's true. But it's, and like Zoot said, these guitars are for collectors, which is kind of true, right? But pre-working in Guitar Store, Jonathan would have said, and even after first guitar store I worked in, Jonathan would have said, no one buys these guitars. Who buys these things? They're for doctors, they're for lawyers, which is sort of also argument can be made. But it blows my mind how many people out there have 20 grand or 50 grand that they're willing to spend on these things, and they do it over and over and over again. Literally blows my mind, but they are there. The market is there, right? And it's not the normal, it's not us guys probably, but it's there. So just know that it was there. Chad B says, who's going to get it for Sean as a wedding present? But then someone reminded me, Sean hates EC. I'd like to play one of these guitars. I'd love to know how good it is.
Well, here's one thing that I will say about Gibson, right? That every other guitar company, I think, might be getting wrong right now. I feel like when Gibson does a release, they've got the guitars ready and in the stores.
And then bam, when they're talking about it, it's ready. And yes.
So
that is absolutely
we'll have
true.
to look and see if truly, Russo and all those other places have those guitars in stock. But if they do, that's a huge win. Because with Fender, it's
PRS is horrible about it.
PRS, it's
they get everybody
2 years
boned
later,
up,
you get
and then it's
guitar.
Sweetwater has them, and then we might get it when everyone doesn't care, has forgotten about it, and has found one somewhere.
Yeah.
That is worthless to us, worthless. But now, and I will say this for Gibson, right? Hate Gibson if you want, whatever. This is outside of that. We've been fortunate enough. Every one of these big releases since Greenie, I think we've got our hands.
We've got our hands on one
because we've got a friend who buys them,
Yeah.
And we've kind of had established a relationship with the Gibson Garage and the guys there, and we've been there a few times. So literally everyone from the greenie, the $50,000 greenie, all the way down to the little Charlie Star special to, we had a good friend who had the double net, Jimmy Page, play every single one of them. Every one of them has been an amazing guitar. It would just really suck if they were doing this and marketing this, and then the guitars were like, oh. Every one of them, though, like the Jason Isbell, pretty jaw-dropping guitar. Like when you play it, you're like, well, damn, that's okay. That's great, But like on this one, it's just, is it going to move? Does anyone care? Does anybody want the Clapton?
We'll see if it goes the way of the Kirk Hammett. And
like
it's discounted by $7,000.
How much of a Clapton fan would you have to be to want this thing? Or is it the guys who just have so much money and don't even know that it's not really that? Clapton didn't really, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Or do you you just buy a vintage one?
Or do you just like the history of Gibson and you love the history of the 3-pickup, like custom, like who is the person, right? Like what things have to sort of all coalesce together for you to, and you have $20,000 for you to be like, bam.
All right. So here's the question, Jonathan. If you had $20,000 right now and you had to spend it at Gibson, on one guitar,
unquestionable.
What guitar are you buying?
There's one of those Brazilian Dreams collector's editions, the Les Pauls. They're $19,999.
So why that guitar?
Because I picked it up and it was incredible. Because it is amazing. It's the best Les Paul. It's one of the best Les Pauls I've ever played.
But do you think that guitar is going to go up in value, or so it's not a value thing? It is the best guitar.
For me, it's not. For some people, it would be, right?
Because a lot of our folks that are buying these guitars, some of it is they're buying them with the hopes that they're going to go up in value and resell them.
The thing about it, I would never buy a guitar based on that. Like and I'm not even saying that's wrong. That's just me. I don't care. I buy guitars because I love guitars and I play guitar. So you could show me a $20,000 guitar that you were like, it's going to go up in value. Well, hell, if I want that, I'll go put money in the stock market or I'll buy gold. You know what I mean? Like, screw that. Like, if I buy a guitar, it's because I love the guitar. I love the way it plays. Say, something about it floors me.
That is a part of every conversation we have had with a customer that has bought one of these guitars.
Yeah.
The appreciation question is absolutely in play.
Well, I think some of that, right, is you're like, you got the money, you want to buy this thing, and then you need to justify it a little bit to yourself. Some of it's got to be that, right?
Yeah.
Some of it's got to be because I don't know about you guys. To me, $20,000 is a like really substantial amount of money, right? So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So I would be like, oh my God, I'm going to do it. I say, even if I'd saved it up and I could do it, right? I'd be like, oh God, Derek, is this a good move? Derek, do you think this thing is going to appreciate? Like, I would go through that mentally, but that would just be my, hey, I'm really going to do it.
The problem is you've got things like the Greenie.
Yeah.
That the first couple went on Reverb. Uh-huh. Maybe two of them sold for more than what they got for it.
Right.
And then now people think they can do that with all of them. But I'd be curious. We're going to have to do a little deep dive to see what guitars have actually appreciated in value on Reverb.
Well,
with those Gibson releases.
It's also funny, like which ones, like I kind of thought the Jason Isbell would sell better than it did. I don't know that those were like as big a hit, right? Because I think those are still available. See if one of those is available. Could a person buy one right now? I believe they could. But honestly, that was one of my favorite ones. And I think they maybe should have marketed it a little bit more. Like, yes, Jason Isbell currently owns it, but with the Ed King connection as well, maybe it would have been a good thing. Can you get one?
Let's see. Looks like there's at least two of them at Gibson.com. Let's look.
Yeah. So,
let's see. How many could we add to cart?
Baxter, I'm sorry. We actually bought 5 Jason Isbells. You owe the garage $100,000.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, we got Texas Toast guitars in the chat.
Oh, it says I can buy 7 of them. If that tells you anything.
So there, there you go. Man, Texas Coast says he's got a few people with vintage guitars that are worth some bucks and they have zero interest in selling. That's exactly right. Because like I don't know. If I buy the guitar, it's because I want the guitar, and I'm probably not gonna. It's not gonna be worth anything until I die.
Yeah,
or give it to my
like,
children. You know.
I feel like if you own bunches of vintage guitars, you are not gambling on a single guitar from Gibson. Usually, if you've got the money to have bunches of vintage guitars, you ain't worried about making it $5,000 by buying a $20,000 guitar and selling it for $25,000.
Well, like old Tom Bukovac, our Uncle Larry, he's got a double cut Falcon early, you know, great shape. All the bindings intact. Obviously, he was playing on a video yesterday. Sounds great. And he said, he's like, you know, when I need a Gretsch thing, this is what I go to. But he's like, I found myself rarely getting it. He's like, and I realized this could be someone's like main guitar. And I don't know if that's whatever, or he just wants to sell it. Who cares? His guitar, he can sell it. Everyone wants to sell it, right?
Yeah.
Selling it for like $22,500, you know? That's about what he paid for it. So he's buying these guitars for like, you know, $20,000 guitars, plays them for a few years, probably uses them in the studio. Then when he needs to, or when he finds something else, probably,
Yeah.
was it? I don't know. If you got that much capital to have into a couple vintage guitars, that'd be a really fun way to do it.
Is like a fashion designer dating models. He can dump one and another one's going to be right around the corner.
Plus, I think like to me, right, it would be neat knowing a guitar that I owned went to Tom Bukovac to be on records, right? Don't you think there's an allure to that? There's like a romantic thing to that, right? So, you know, if I was getting rid of a vintage guitar and Tom wanted it.
If you listen closely, you can hear this song on the new Tim McGraw album that nobody
It's buried. It's 3 layers on there. I mean, you know, I just think that's cool. It's just kind of awesome. It's kind of off. Fried Tater says, not really.
We should just do it. We should just do a show, Jonathan, where we go through Reverb and just look at guitars and tell people the right ones to buy. We'll have people can email in.
That would actually be
guitars
fun.
that they were looking for, and we'll help you.
That should be a new segment. We should have that as a segment of the live stream on Wednesdays. That means we need you guys to send in.
So email
us.
If there's a guitar that you've been looking for and you want our opinion on it, we will dedicate the second block of the time. So for those of you in the non-TV world, that would be the 10:15 to 10:30 time slot.
I didn't know that either. So
that's probably not even
we're all
real.
learning. Thank God we're not in the TV world.
That's probably not even what the second block is. Second block's probably like 10:10 to 10
back 40
17. But I think
I don't know, boys.
There's nothing I like more than helping people search for guitars. Gives my brain a break.
I mean, and I feel like you're very good at that, Derek, because I feel like you search a lot, and like because you're like a research minded, kind of like you dig into stuff.
Yeah,
so I feel like you're very good at that. Mary T says we could just go through used guitars for sale and say who they'd be good for too. I mean, that would, you know, also be fun. Homegrown Son says he's got a 54-64 vintage Strat build, trying to decide Vega trim or vintage bridge. Man, on the Strat, I'm usually a fan of just the good old vintage Strat. I like it to have 6 screws. You know, I don't know. That's just me though. Just me. Tom says, you know, if Uncle Larry kept it around, it was a good one. I feel like that is true. I feel like he's pretty discerning for electric guitars.
Real quick. Keep it going.
Sean says 20 grand is Elon Musk money. That's right. That is right. I like 20 grand is definitely vintage money. The thing is, do you enjoy playing that vintage guitar? But I'd love to have 20 grand to go search for like an awesome vintage guitar. I feel like I could find like a refin ready to roll, like player grade, like amazing thing, like 60 Strat or old Telly or something, which is what I, would want. I like Genrise take. Drive 3-4 shit boxes and buy vintage gear. Yeah, get old truck, get old car, man. I have never cared about that like as a daily driver, like what I was driving. So, and I'm fortunate enough that my sweet dear wife doesn't much care either. So we're rocking the old 2007, 2008 Chevy pickup and Honda Ridgeline at the moment. But we have I have nice guitars. It's really not that fair when you think about it. Homegrown Son says the real shame is buying them to stay on a wall and play that most investors due to retail maximum trade and resale. Yeah, I mean, you know, it would be awesome if everybody buying these guitars was actually circulating them like in a way that they're being used, you know. But sadly, that's not really the world that we live in all the time. But there's probably more of them being played nowadays than you realize. You know what I mean? I kind of think the days of the guys buying them and putting them in a warehouse or in some climate controlled thing somewhere, it's not coming to a close. But I just feel like there's a lot of people who buy those things because they're at least playing them at home. You know, they're into the gear, which is kind of cool. So, you know, are vintage guitar rentals a market with room for growth?
We've talked about that. We've talked about how great would it be to be able to, you know, rent a 64 Strat when you're recording your record so you can have vintage guitars and amps on it. But
are you mailing those to whoever rents them?
Probably not.
There's some logistical things that come into play. Like,
yeah,
there's just some logistical things that come into play.
You'd have to have a credit card on file, but I don't know if most people's credit cards are going to
have that
sort of level of coverage.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be impossible, but you'd have to really think through it, right? Now,
you'd have to have an insurance policy. It'd be like renting a car.
If you're in a place where, like, if you're in a place like Nashville or a big city, and like you're recording in a city like that, there could be a centralized place where you were able to go and rent it, like check it out for a week to do your record.
Because they've got rental programs for camera gear. They've got rental programs for all sorts of stuff. But
I mean, you can always, some of the nicer backline companies, you can get some stuff like that. You know what I mean? Maybe not like an amazing guitars, but for sure amps. I mean, it's possible.
But you know what? Most recording studios have a pretty decent selection of guitars to grab from.
If you're in a real, like a legit, you know.
I mean, we're pretty lucky here that with our recording studio, we have
access.
We have every guitar available, every amp available. So if you ever, we'll just put this as a plug.
Plug it, Derek.
If you want to come to the Neon Rooster to come record your EP or record, you could have Jonathan play on it, Baxter play on it, Sean.
I'm going to do another shameless plug.
Let us know. And you can play any guitar that we've got in the shop, any amp on your record. We've got drummers. We've got a whole thing. We can even film it. So if that's something you're interested for your band.
Derek, pull this up if you can. The friend of mine, Ronnie Walker, and his delightful girlfriend have a band, a group called Mayshell. It's Maeshell.
Mayshell.
And they have all sorts of songs there. And it's songs you can find them on Spotify and Apple Music. Anyways, it was just his birthday, and they put out a new song called All the Rage. And they hit me up to play the guitar solo, and I was super happy with how it turned out. I did the solo at my house. Mic'd up, no digital tomfoolery here, and it turned out. But if you type up All the Rage, Derek, and it's like I said,
did you share it on your Facebook page?
Yeah, I did. I think I did.
Okay, I'll pull it up.
It might be. It's in my.
Have like a turtle on the front of it.
It's got a turtle on the front. Yeah, because the video is like this. It's actually a really neat little animated thing. Song's pretty killer though, man. And like I said, I was super happy with the solo, like the part and the tone. The tone was pretty fantastic. It was just a baby M80. I had it close mic'd, and then I had a mic across the room, a la Eddie 9-volt thing. At Ned's Donut Shop says you bendied all the bendies. I found all the bendies. But it was pretty awesome. Sean McKenzie says, how much to cut a single? I don't know, Derek, how much to cut a single?
Just let us know. We're pretty flexible.
We're horrible business people. we're having more fun than we are making money.
Come down, cut a single for $300.
Yeah,
and have the guys play on it.
That's not bad at all. But yeah, man, come on down, Sean McKenzie. We'll do it, man. And it's just fun.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, Derek. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but Derek did a killer cover the other day, and we had our buddy Will play drums on it, and I played a little guitar. Derek did most of it, and it's pretty fantastic. It might be going to members only at some point, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know when or if or whatever. But yeah, I think the Rooster Man has turned into quite the little recording suite.
Yeah, I'm working with stuff booked there in April. What's that band that's coming in April? Will's band.
God,
I think that band is going to be enjoyed by a lot of our audience. It's got very much a 70s Zeppelin-y feel to it,
like with a little bit of And go listen to it. It's on Spotify now. It is called. I should know this.
You should know. He's one of your close friends.
It's called Holy Grail. That's the album.
Holy Grail.
Holy Grail. And they called it the Low Country Jam Machine because my pal Garrett, who I also knew from Nashville, has moved back to Wilmington, North Carolina. So Will's in Virginia, Garrett's in Wilmington, and they're doing some stuff. This one is just a 5-song EP, but it's called Holy Grail. It's super cool. Well, at some point we'll do a little video on it and we'll share it. And they're coming, so we'll have videos and we'll probably do some kind of interview thing with them. But both those guys were guys that were in Nashville when I was in Nashville. So maybe we'll do some nostalgia, tell some stories. Will and I ruined some country gigs.
Zach
so
just mentioned Blue Cactus. They're actually in talks to come down to do some filming and recording. So
you just mentioned them to me
just
yesterday or the day before. So that was neat. Yeah, very cool. But we had some great folks at the Rooster, honestly, that we met that what's up, Tony? Yeah, that's been fun, you know. And I think there's lots more fun to come in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm excited
We're
about
going to be at
what I'm
the
working on.
Asheville Guitar Show
In just a few
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yep.
So if you are in North
Which
Carolina,
is like what, the 7th, 8th, and 9th, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So come out and see us. We're going to have a booth there. Well, obviously we'll do a walk around video, but come see us. Come say hi. Sean's leading the charge on that. So come over and give him a hard time.
For sure. Todd Roy, thank you so much. Mayor McCheese, that's actually not a bad idea. And we've talked about that too. Content about the recording process, you know.
Is that something y'all would like to see?
We could do. I mean, we could definitely do some more behind the scenes on the recording, and the
recording on the filming.
Yep. What's fun is we all kind of have a different process, a bit. You know, like Derek has a little different take than how Sean and Baxter do it, and then like I have my own little horrible process in my own home. But you know, I think we have a lot of fun, so maybe we'll do that. We've also talked about like and this might be something, you know, I think you guys have said you would like to see it, like just rig rundowns of all our own personal junk that we're using when we're doing
basically our collections,
our
Gibson collection.
So, but anyways, yeah. So if you dig that May Shell song, like I said, those are friends of mine. So share that thing and like it and comment. It helps them. So anyways, that's it.
All right, Johnny. I think we gotta wind this down.
Wind it down. No one else is here, so we got to go open the shop. But thank you guys for hanging out.
Go and send Sean some love for his birthday today.
Do it.
What's his Instagram?
Little Shanzy, LILSEANSY.
So send him some birthday love, and send him money for his birthday.
Send him money
or alcohol
or alcohol. Probably more money, less alcohol, but whatever you want to do. Advice. Send him advice.
So thanks for jumping in on this live stream today. Appreciate everybody. Different format. Last week we had Baxter. This week you're stuck with me, but I did get a microphone, so that's an upgrade.
Mark says he loves you having on the mic.
Well, Mark, I appreciate it.
I enjoy you on the mic, Derek. You're very informed.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Unlike these other yahoos you stick me with.
There was zero Clapton
with
bashing.
Broccoli hair. No Clapton shit talking. Man, what a day. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. We love you guys.
Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell. But hit like for sure.
See you on the backside.